Today we're going to learn how to edit an Ilford XP2 Super film scan. Let's get into it. To start off, this was shot on a 6x6 camera, so that's why the negatives look a little bit different than the previous videos, but the editing process is the same. So to start, we will hit the W key to white balance this, and then we are going to hit the R key for the crop tool and drag these edges of the photo inside the film border. XP2 Super is a C41 black and white film, so the process is basically the same as a C41 negative, although we'll be converting it to black and white rather than color. So to do that, we'll hit Ctrl-Alt-N, pull up Negative Lab, and we already have the color model selected for black and white, and we can tell because it's changed here on the screen. We will hit Convert Negative, and look at that, we have a lovely black and white C41 image. Pretty sweet, huh? I did edit this picture before, and I thought I had reset all of the settings, and I don't think they did, so I'm gonna hit reset. Looks like the only thing that changed was the white balance, so not too bad. So this is all reset now. Let's go through and edit this. So for now, I'm going to close Negative Lab. We'll just click Apply. I'm going to hit the R key to pull up the crop tool again and bring these edges of the photo back. Hit the Enter key, and I'm going to scroll down to the Transform tab. I always say this one wrong, so I'm going to wait for the little tab to pop up. We're going to click on the Guided Upright tool. Then what we're going to do is line up the cross, the middle of the cross with the edge of the film border, drag it across to the other side, do the same on the bottom, click and drag to the other side, line that up nice. We'll start on this side. Sometimes the cross won't line up with the edge of the film border, and that's okay, and you just want a straight line. So like in this instance, I'm going to put the edge of the cross on the film border, click and drag, and I'll try to do the same here or get as close as I can at the bottom. And that's about right on there. We'll do the same on the right side of the film here, see if we can line it up. We can't perfectly, but that's okay. We'll just go like that. Boom. Now our image is straight. I'm going to hit the R key to pull up the crop tool again. And I'm just going to drag these edges in. I need to just adjust this film border a little bit to make it look a little more appealing. God, I kind of want to reference the other image I had. Okay, so we took a little bit more of the edge off here. So let's come in a little bit. Everything else is pretty close. This is the original image. And this is my first edit. This was from a few months ago, and the film borders are the same, so I'm just gonna kind of use that as a reference because I like the way that one looks. Took too much off the top, and the bottom's basically spot on. Same with the sides, they're basically there. So now that we have the picture straightened and the borders the way we like them, we need to do some editing. So we're going to send these to Photoshop. This picture doesn't need a lot. It's mostly just going to be brightening up the bright areas, adding a little bit of contrast just to make the subject pop. Just a reminder that if you get your exposure right and your developing right and your scan right, you shouldn't have to do a lot of editing. This is just something that will come with time and practice. So if you're not getting consistent results yet, don't worry. It just takes time. Just keep shooting. You'll get better at exposing. If you're developing on your own, you'll get better. If you're letting your lab do it, let your lab do it. If you're letting your lab develop your film, that's totally fine. I have the lab do it sometimes. All right, so like I said, there's not going to be a lot to edit to this image because it already looks very good, but we'll do a little bit. So we will grab the quick selection tool here. If you hit the W key or click on the fourth icon from the top of the list, and I'm just going to click and drag across the frame here, and what I want to do is select everything inside the film borders. This image should be pretty straightforward. There's nice clear edges, so Photoshop shouldn't have too much of a difficult time selecting just the film border. And look at that, boom, super quick. Sometimes these are super quick like this, sometimes they're a pain in the butt. Today we were lucky. All right, so we have our selection made here. We're going to come up to this filter menu and click on that and jump down to camera raw filter. And that will put us into basically Lightroom inside Photoshop. All of our sliders are going to be normal, and we are editing a raw file, so we have maximum amount of data to work with. Let's come down here. I will usually start in the curves panel. Like I said, there's not going to be a ton of adjustment here because this image looks pretty good on its own, but I will add my little bit of flair. I'd like to push up the darks a little bit and bring down the shadows to get a more rich blacks without having them be too dense. We'll push up the lights here a little bit just to make things pop. I am going to add just a tiny bit of exposure, again, just to help things pop a little bit. Add in a little bit of contrast here, a little bit of highlights. I'm going to push up the shadows here, add a little bit of whites, and pull down the black point a little bit. And add some texture, add some clarity, and my favorite, some dehaze. And we can't really zoom in much here, and that's okay. I am going to scroll down a little bit to sharpening. I always add a little bit there. Actually, I forgot to add some in Negative Lab. That's okay, we'll just add it here. So I'm going to add 15 on sharpening and change detail to 20. That's just what works with my workflow. We'll hit the P key to see it before and after. Before, after. There's not a huge difference here, but again, I just like adding a little bit of brightness and some contrast just to help everything pop and just bring out the detail in the photo. So we are good here, and we will hit Control D to close our selection. We don't need that anymore. And now we'll come in and dust this. So to do that, I'll come up and hit the J key to pull up the heal tool. I'm going to zoom way in, and I have my selection or my dropper on size 12, which is quite small. But the cool thing is we can come in here and just remove these little dust pieces and little imperfections in the photo and make it look nice and clean. So I'm going to run through this real quick. If you have a larger piece of dust or hair or something that's kind of bigger than the heal tool, generally it will look cleaner if you use the lasso tool to select it and then hit the delete key. That'll bring up the content aware fill dialog box. Hit OK or enter. Most times, 9 times out of 10, this will remove it, and when you hit Control D, you won't even be able to tell it was there, which is what we want. So I'm going to speed through this process. Remember, you can dust these as much or as little as you like. If you don't want to dust, you do not have to. So I'm going to speed this up here, and we'll catch up with you in just a sec. Just want to jump in and remind you really quick to save your work while you are going through and dusting. It can be taxing on your processor. Hit the Control S key to save. I will make a pass and then save, and then make another pass and save. That way, if Photoshop crashes, you don't lose all of your work, just a little bit. Okay, I just finished dusting this image. I like to zoom back out and just kind of run through everything before wrapping up the editing on an image. So I'm just going to skim through this really quick. Make sure I didn't miss anything. And everything looks good here, I think. Yeah, everything looks good. I don't think I missed anything on this one. So I'm going to hit Control 0. That lets me zoom out again. We hit Control S to save this. That will send the photo back to Lightroom, and we can check this by going back into Lightroom, and we know this is the new edited file because, like we said, this was a copy. This was copy number 2. Now it says edit-2.tiff. Photoshop will convert this to a TIFF file when it sends it back to Lightroom. That's how you edit Ilford XP2 Super. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.